Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. I'm sure many of you know this week our Earth now has over 8 billion people who live on it. And many sociologists, scientists have been interviewed about what this means for the world. And the consistent message is, it is not a problem to have 8 billion people live on Earth. The problem is that people are possessive. They live for possessions that the Earth cannot handle. In our home, I'm responsible for taking out the garbage, the recycling, and so on, both physically and metaphysically also. But focusing on physically. So today, this garbage day, and in our compost bin, I put some pumpkins. And I was reflecting on this. Why are pumpkins used as a decoration? A pumpkin is a food. People are hungry. In Niagara, when I went to our police meeting this week, they were sharing that they've never had to deal with as much homelessness as they're dealing with right now. Those are people who can eat pumpkins, yet people like me, my family, we're carving them. We're putting them out as decorations. That's silly. That the Earth cannot handle. For 3 days, each morning, I've encouraged all of us to appreciate what we have so that we're not planning for what we want. This morning, we are not going to train in that because we should already be remembering that. From the time we were children, now with this exposure, if we still don't remember that, then we're like this pumpkin that's used for decorations. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a seeker asks a teacher, how does the divine look? And the teacher responds to the seeker sharing, the divine keeps changing colors. At the beginning of creation, the divine was white. As creation continued, the divine became red, then blue, and in the present time that we're living in, the divine appears black. The word Krishna means the one who is dark. The Bhagavad Gita has one form of guidance, one message. Do not interpret that there are other forms of guidances and messages, because there's not. There is only one, and that is Tattvamasi, that you, I, all are divine. Now, in terms of divinity, in terms of divinity's map, the fundamentals should never be adapted. The divine should never not be divine. The map should never not guide one to you are infinite. But the functionality must adapt. And that's why the divine appears in different colors. What kind of people should we love? Those who are white, and those who are red, and those who are blue, and those who are black. And in reference to the map, each chapter is teaching Tattvamasi, but in a different way. Chapter 10 is very different than chapter 9, correct? Which is very different than chapter 8, 7, 6, and so on. The functionality must adapt. The fundamentals must never adapt. An insight for how we should live. Yesterday I explained a lot about the churning of the Milky Ocean. A difference between the suras, those who are trying to be selfless like us, and the asuras, those who are complacent in being selfish. The selfless, though they are often doers and deservers, they know their deficiency, and so they ask for help. That difference will come up between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Kauravas knew they had problems, but never asked for help. The Pandavas knew they had problems, but they asked for help. Now, for us, what does asking for help mean? We should ask for help to become more selfless. And if you think of the difference between a semi-god and God, or Indra and Bhagwan Shiva, Indra is trying to be selfless. Bhagwan Shiva's past any notions of selfish, selfless. He is egoless. So how this applies to us, being good is not good enough. Being selfless is not selfless enough. We have to ask for help to transcend any sort of duality separation. And when you ask for help from someone who doesn't need help. If you're asking for help from someone who needs help, that just compounds this notion of insecurity. And that's why the suras asked for help from Bhagwan. One more thought about this. I've shared with many of you in many ways that we should become more large-hearted. If we do, we'll be able to absorb more. You've heard that from me. Bhagwan Shiva is an icon of this. When he absorbed that poison or negativity, he never became bitter nor boastful. That's what it means to hold this poison or to absorb negativity, is you don't become that. You just kind of let it dissolve within you. In verse 28, like other verses, lots about the churning of the Milky Ocean is being shared. So I wanted to give you that context. Shri Krishna shares, Ayudhanamaham vajram. Amongst weapons is the vajra or the lightning bolt. This word, ayudha, is where the name Halayudha comes from. Shri Krishna's older brother is often known as Halayudha, the one whose weapon is a plow. It sort of looks like a pick. The lightning bolt, I was sharing in terms of Greek mythology, is not held by Hercules but Zeus. Yes? And this is the same vajra that hit Hanumanji when he was trying to swallow the sun. And he became unconscious and hit the ground, and that's why his mouth is swollen. What we're doing is really cool. It's like you're getting this crash course in the Ramayana, in Bhagavatam, and so on. My final thought on this, and this is for you to research. Pujya Swami Tejomayananda's most favorite part of Srimad Bhagavatam is in reference to when Indra has the Vajra and he's about to use this on Vritra. Try to research that name, Vritra. And this Asura, this selfish being, is praying to be destroyed so he can go back to being with Bhagavan Narayana. What an understanding. Dhenunam asmi kamadhuk. In the churning of the Milky Ocean, the first material that comes out is the kalakuta, the poison. The second is the kamadhuk, this divine cow. After that, Uchchaishavas, the divine horse, and then Airavata, the divine elephant. So, cows, horses, and elephants are divine. So should we use them or live in harmony with them? Prajanaschasmi kandarpaha. Amongst those who create is Kandarpa or Kamadeva. Please listen carefully. In our culture, we are technically told that we have 4 purusharthas or purposes. In actuality, we have one purpose, which is peace. The other 3 are to be aligned to peace. And so the third purpose, which is called kama, there is a science to this kama called the Kama Sutra. Just like we have a Dharma Shastra and Artha Shastra, we also have a Kama Sutra, the science of facilitating pleasure so that it is aligned with peace. And the simplest way to understand this is when it comes to sexuality, there is a right space, time, and then outwardly we say matter, but I'm going to change that to mind. There's a right space, time, and mindset to pleasure, to sexuality. Particularly, sexuality is a function of feeling closer to another entity, and more than that, is to create to be able to be more caring. I'll elaborate a little bit more. When Kamadeva, when the Sura Kama was trying to test Bhagavan Shiva, it was the wrong space, the wrong time, and the wrong mind, correct? And so what happened to him? He was destroyed. But that same Sura, that is Kama, was born as Sri Krishna's son, Pradyumna. When he had the right space, right time, and the right mindset to serve Sri Krishna. Understood? If it's wrong, you will be destroyed. If it's right, this rightness is to serve. Personally, when Sheila and I were planning for our first child, then second child, this planning meant we have to feel close enough and we have to care about each other enough to be able to care for another. I find many young adults, evolving adults, their children planning is very casual. It's not a science. And that's why we have samskaras, correct? The rites of passage on how to live. Next. Obviously, we just have to list these out for now. Verse 29. Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham piternam aryama chasmi yamasam yamatamaham. Naganam, amongst a different species of serpents, aham, ananta. And I'll connect this to the previous verse soon. And yadasam, which means amongst water beings, I am Varuna, the semi-god Varuna. Pitranam, amongst ancestors, I am Aryama. And finally, and this is the best one in this example, Samyamatam, amongst discipliners, I am Yama, which is death. Lots to share on all of this. I've listed them out. Let me at least just share the first one. In the previous verse, Sri Krishna shares, amongst serpents, I am Vasuki. Vasuki is the snake that you see around Bhagavan Shiva's neck. In terms of sarpas, sarpas are those snakes that have a single hood. Here, the reference is nagas. Those are serpents that have multiple hoods. And this, Ananta, another name for this is Shesha. This is what Bhagavan Narayana is resting on. Okay? Vasuki is used in the churning of the Milky Ocean. Here, Shesha is used in a different way. This is what I want to highlight. Shesha incarnates as Sri Lakshmana. And you may not know this, but Sri Lakshmana, he, for 14 years, didn't sleep or eat because he had this Ananya Bhakti, this divine dedication to Bhagavan Rama. And that is the most beautiful visualization of purpose pulls performance. If your purpose is Bhagavan Rama, you don't need to sleep as much. You don't need to eat as much. For us, I have found that food is our purpose. Eating is our purpose, which means peace is not. Bhagavan Rama is not. More to come. From inspiration to application. Your application yesterday was to reflect on the Kama Sutra. Right space, right time, right mind. This right space, time, and mind is not just about sexuality. It is how we're supposed to relate to all of our relationships. Suppose Sheila and I have to have a difficult discussion. If we do it with the wrong mindset, what will happen to that discussion? Become an argument, correct? So all relationships have to follow this framework. Your application for this morning. Yesterday, I facilitated a workshop for the city of Ottawa on the foundation of diversity is unity. Now, you're all being trained in the same. I want you to share the 3 main thoughts that you would share if you were facilitating such a workshop. The foundation of diversity is unity. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.